How many times have you finished a diet and then just gained that weight right back? You go to a coach or a personal trainer, you might have two people to tell you two very different things. One person is going to tell you to track your calories, track them at a maintenance amount. And the other one might tell you to do something called a reverse diet, where you add 25 to 50 calories a week slowly until you're at maintenance calories. And maybe even they claim that you'll be able to increase what you can eat. So which one's right? It's become the most debated topic in the nutrition aspect of the fitness industry. Both claim that scientists support their side. Reverse dieting is going to claim that it can even increase your metabolism and your metabolic rate. We basically have three questions to answer in order to say who is right. What actually changes when you lose weight? Why did reverse dieting become so popular in the first place? What does the research actually say? Before we go forward, let's talk about maintenance calories and what happens to the body during a diet. First, let's cover maintenance calories. Some people can say, I maintain my weight at 2,500 calories, I maintain at 3,000, I maintain at 1,600, but metabolic rate isn't a set specific number. That metabolic rate that you have is going to change based on your TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure. TDEE is basically going to tell you what your maintenance calories are, and it's based on 4 different components. There's so much hair. You're very cute, but you're very hairy. The number one most important component is going to be your RMR, your resting metabolic rate. This is going to be the calories you need just to keep your body alive, your heart, your organs, your lungs, all of that. The number one way to change your RMR is going to be the amount of muscle you have. So if you want to increase the amount of calories you can eat, more muscle means a higher increased RMR. The second component is EAT, exercise, activity, thermogenesis. This is going to include all of the activities you do. So whether you're lifting weights, running, exercising, participating in a sport, any kind of physical activity like that. The next one is your NEAT, your non-exercise activity, thermogenesis. NEAT is going to include any activity that isn't structured exercise. For example, you could work out super duper hard, but then the rest of the day you sit on your couch. Your EAT is going to be high, your NEAT will not be. Taking the stairs, fidgeting, all of that's going to be included into your NEAT. It seems like it's not really something that's a big deal, but taking into account, they're going to burn hundreds of calories a day. It can be simple things like bobbing your head while you're in the car. Two people with the exact same height, weight, muscle retention, muscle mass, exercise could actually still burn very different calorie amounts. Stop! That hurts. That was ouchy. Based on their NEAT. You better NEAT on out of here, rat. And your last is going to be your thermal effect of food, your TEF. Basically, digesting food requires energy, and what kind of food you digest is going to change the energy amount. For example, protein requires the most energy to digest and process. Next comes carbs, and finally comes fat. If you eat a high protein diet, it is going to take your body more energy to get rid of that protein. A typical diet for someone that's not watching what they eat and maybe is just eating in America is going to be high in dietary fat. Not that fat's bad, it has its place. Good fats are really good for your body. Do not just go no fat. If you have a high fat, low protein diet, which is really what a lot of people unfortunately have, those calories that you can eat per day are going to be significantly less than someone that has a high protein, low fat diet, just because you're in that right balance amount of the amount of calories you should be eating, and then carbs should be next if you're trying to take advantage of that thermal effect. So you'll be able to eat more if you've got a protein, carb, fat balance than if you had like a fat, carb, protein balance, which is that reverse is kind of what most people have. Basically, altogether, all 4 of those are going to make your maintenance calories, your total daily energy expenditure, your TDEE. Every single one of these components can change while you're in a diet. So your muscle could be lost because you lost weight too fast, and you're going to decrease the amount of calories your body can burn at a lighter weight. Just being at a lighter weight is going to mean you can eat less than if you were at a heavier weight. So if you've lost 10 pounds, your basic resting metabolic rate will be lower than if you were 10 pounds heavier. You can eat less per day maintaining that body. Also, exercise is gonna be less. Someone that walks in the pool but is very, very overweight might burn 500 calories. Someone my size might burn significantly less. We're talking maybe 80 or 100. The distance hasn't changed, the effort hasn't changed. I could walk right by my friend walking in the pool. I'm just burning less calories because I'm smaller. It also is, imagine if someone was 500 pounds doing that versus me, I would have to put on 350 pounds on my backpack while I'm walking in the water. That is significantly harder. That would be exhausting. Of course, they're burning more calories. That is a much harder workout for someone that size versus me. I'm going to burn less. There's the NEAT. After a prolonged period of dieting, many people just move less without even thinking about it. They're gonna fidget less. They're gonna go walk around less. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but every change is small. The longer you're in a diet, the less you move, the more you're reducing your NEAT. So you're gonna reduce your maintenance calories. Your body adapted to a lower energy expenditure and a smaller body, so your maintenance calories are going to drop. It's one of the reasons people really highly recommend the 10,000 steps a day. It's not because 10,000 is a number. Tracking steps can encourage that you're maintaining your NEAT while in a caloric deficit. It's really the NEAT you're trying to hit, not your exercise amount. And both of them are important. What is maintenance? If you're going straight into maintenance after you diet, there are really two problems. One, a lot of people will just go back straight to what they were eating. You might have lost muscle while you were going into that caloric deficit. You might have reduced your calorie intake, and also your body is not going to maintain, because you're lower, your body amount on the same amount of calories that you used to eat. Your body maintained that body on those calories. If you haven't learned what that maintenance is on your new body, it's really hard to figure out what those maintenance calories are. The camp is, let's go straight back into maintenance, or we should slowly reduce into maintenance. I think you can see where I'm going there. What is maintenance? Maybe without a coach, you won't be able to find out. The next question is, does dieting damage your metabolism? You'll hear people several times say, be careful of dieting for too long, you'll crash your metabolism. If it were completely true, then it would change how we look at weight loss. You would ask, why are people starving that don't eat a lot in Africa? Shouldn't their metabolism be crashed, and shouldn't they be gaining weight every single time they get any bit of food? Have you damaged your metabolism? Possibly, depending on the amount of extreme diets you've done in your entire life, the amount of yo-yo dieting you've done, if you've been doing it since you were 13, if you've done a lot of 500 calories, 4,000 calories, maybe. There is a possibility. Probably not. Most your metabolism slowed down, but it doesn't mean it's permanently damaged, most likely. You can go to a doctor. You can be the exception to the rule. I don't want anyone to think that anything I'm saying is like true for everyone. There are exceptions to the rule. How do we know this? There was a study 80 years ago called the Minnesota Starvation Study. This one is just cited all the time. It's a really interesting read if you ever want to go look into it. I'm going to summarize it really quickly. Healthy young men spent 6 months starving their bodies. Basically, they were trying to find out what happened to famine victims during World War II. So the effects were dramatic. I mean, the men were constantly hungry. They thought about food obsessively. And many people, read cookbooks or watched other people eat for entertainment. I mean, it was an obsession. They lost muscle, they lost their strength, and they became very fatigued and tired. And then their body's metabolic rate adapted as they adjusted to this prolonged famine experience. The study ended there. It would be easy to determine that starvation permanently damages metabolism, but thankfully the Minnesota Starvation Study did not end there. After they had a follow-up to regain weight, participants gradually ate more and increased their metabolic rate and their NEAT. They started to increase their metabolic rate, what their body could burn off. Many of the adaptations that happened during starvation began to reverse. Another group that you can see that pushes their body to a very physical extreme are going to be your competitive bodybuilders. They're starving their body in the same sense that the Minnesota starvation experiment did, except they're maintaining their muscle while doing it. It's a beautiful science, it's a beautiful art, but they're doing the same exact thing to their body. Months of contest prep bring it down to a body fat percentage not healthy to maintain. So remember, all of those bodybuilders, and I'm one too, I'm in prep right now, and as I continue to get leaner, that is not a body you can maintain, nor is it healthy. Not goals. All right, but your competition ends and your calories start to increase. Your body weight is going to recover, your energy is going to recover, you're going to become more energetic, Your hormones will return back to normal and your training will improve. You can also see it under severe undernutrition or people with under-eating issues. YouTube won't let me say it, but you know what I'm talking about. As they slowly increase their calories and regain weight, their resting metabolic rate increases to about what we would expect for someone of their new size. And remember, these are the most extreme examples of people that have been in a caloric deficit and then returned back to normal. And we can see in these extremes over time, is the metabolism permanently damaged? Observers keep seeing recovery. Scientists have discovered adaptive thermogenics, the body's ability to adapt during a calorie deficit. When in a diet, your body naturally adjusts to burning fewer calories than what we would expect. For example, just your NEAT is going to decrease. But once calories and your body stabilize, then it returns back to normal for what we would expect. Now, there have been some studies that some metabolic damage has occurred into someone that's lost weight. So from extreme, if you look at The Biggest Loser, they followed them. But the metabolic damage that is discussed is like, for the average person, I'm talking 50 to 100 calories. You're talking half an apple. Does it exist? Sure. You can eat half an apple less. That's about it. That's about the most damage they've really truly seen. So you see studies saying, oh, that had an extreme weight loss, can't eat as many calories as someone that's always maintained that way. Yep, you're right. They can eat half an apple less. It's not as bad as social media makes it sound. And when we push that narrative, it can discourage people from losing weight altogether. It is half an apple, maybe an apple at most. It's not a lot. It's about 3 to 5% fewer calories than what we expect. It's not going to matter over time that you eat 100 calories less a day. It's really not that much. Metabolism eventually recovers in the first place. Why did reverse dieting become popular? The idea actually started in a research lab. It started in competitive bodybuilding. After pushing your body to an extreme in your diet and in your in every single way, the coaches and the bodybuilders started asking, okay, the diet ended, now what? What do we do now with our body? Mind you, these are people that have tracked every little grain of rice for a minimum of 8 to 12 weeks. After months of tracking everything and saying no to social experiences because a starvation diet, their body is constantly thinking about food being that lean. So they might just simply have to say no because they can't say no to the food and they'll eat it. And they're in that starvation mode. And now they're just supposed to eat normal again at their maintenance calories. You also have to think about what happens psychologically to an athlete that's gotten that lean. They've worked for months to get that lean, and if you just jump them back up to what is a healthy maintenance calorie, you could be looking at some serious psychological damage. Body dysmorphia is real. So say right now I'm at 129, I drop down to about that could take me 12 weeks, but if I just jump back up to 129 in a few weeks, I just went from super fit to healthy fit, but I'm going to think I'm huge. So the other option would be to slowly reverse you out of it to help not necessarily just with your metabolism, but more help with the psychological effect. For some people that have tracked everything every single day and have that more rigid structure, having a slow ease out of it is going to help you rebound. It's also going to help you know what your new metabolic resting rate is. If we just jump straight back into my 129, I may have lost muscle. I might not have that same maintenance calories that I once did. So I might gain more weight and jump up to 133 instead, or I might continue to accidentally lose weight, whatever may be, and jump down to 127. So sometimes that reverse diet is going to allow us what our new maintenance calories are while slowly gaining weight instead of just jumping straight there, which can have a psychological benefit and possibly help against body dysmorphia to that extreme. But now that reverse dieting idea has gone away from just bodybuilders who have competed in their leanest physique ever to the natural world. And is there a benefit to someone in the natural world to do a reverse diet? Now, reverse dieting is kind of split into two camps. You can do like the 50 calories per week for months and months on end, which is one way to do it. Or it can be a controlled transition from a calorie deficit back to maintenance calories. Both approaches have been called reverse dieting. And I think some of the issues with what the debate is on whether reverse dieting works or doesn't work is, we're not even defining the same thing. Let's those two different types and put them head to head. The question is, how should recovery happen? And recovery matters, but how should recovery happen after a diet? Should you jump straight to maintenance or should you slowly increase? So returners straight to maintenance We're going to talk about what those supporters believe first. They believe that your body has been stressed out for being in a caloric deficit for so long that you should jump straight into maintenance to give your body a rest. You don't want to slowly ease out of it because it's going to increase your stress levels, decrease your likelihood of maintaining this reverse, and to just put more cortisol stress on your body that you don't need. Dieting changes the body, obviously. So if we recover slowly, hunger will recover slowly. So is that worth it for some clients? Maybe not. For example, a woman that got extremely lean for a show may have lost their period and need that back. That is a sign that your hormonal balance is out of whack. You are not healthy. It might be best for you to gain the weight back and to go back on maintenance calories for what would be an ideal body fat percentage for someone of your height as soon as possible. Or you could look into maintenance calories that support your new body. If you're not a bodybuilder trying to get back to a healthy weight, but you now have hit a healthy weight, it's going straight just into maintenance calories of what your new body is and tracking that. Remember that, unfortunately, people underestimate what they're eating when they don't track by 40%. It's why most people are not successful if they don't track their calories. Now, should everyone track their calories? Absolutely not. For some people, it's going to just be too mentally exhausting. Is it going to be harder to lose weight if you don't track your calories? Yeah, significantly harder. Tracking either calories or macros is going to ensure that you're actually eating what you think. So for example, if someone is eating 1,200 calories, they're likely at least eating 1,600 to 1,800. The difference is significant. So when someone comes to me and says, I can't lose weight, I eat 1,200 calories a day, the first thing we're gonna do is have them track their calories for a week without changing anything. Now, naturally, they're going to change what they eat a little bit because they're our body wants to lie to ourselves, and that's fine. But even when they do that, they'll likely notice that they're probably eating more than the 1,200 that they thought. But we like to lie to ourselves. It's a self-protection method, and it does it. You can see the show Secret Eaters. It's a phenomenal experience. But if you think you can't lose weight and you only eat 1,200 calories, 99.99% of the time, you're not eating 1,200 calories. You're probably eating more without even realizing it. Sometimes our brain doesn't even register it. It's that lick of the peanut butter spoon. It's, just that small nibble here and there, and it adds up. The other reason that just jumping straight to maintenance calories can be important are for people that want to build muscle. Muscle is going to increase your metabolic rate, and it's significantly easier to put on muscle when you are in at least a maintenance or a calorie surplus. Can you put it on in a calorie deficit? Most of the time, yes, but you have to be very, very particular. And I would say with a coach, it's very hard to do on your own without someone helping you. But it's significantly easier on maintenance. So if your goal now is to increase your metabolic rate permanently at this new calorie amount, jumping just straight into maintenance will allow you to put on the muscle and eventually increase what that maintenance is. But, for a competitor, just increasing the carbs and increasing the water is going to make that scale just jump immediately. And now you want them to jump up to a normal body fat percentage after being stage lean. That can be psychologically damaging. Supporters of the slow reverse are going to support that psychological assistance. It's not necessarily going to be for someone weight and a healthy body fat percentage, but more for someone that's super lean because of the psychological damage it can take to get out of that and to not have body dysmorphia or any long-term effects. Reverse dieting can be very beneficial for those individuals. The other person that might benefit from reverse dieting is a female that has had chronic diets and deficits and then binges. I find that reverse dieting with these individuals can be more beneficial because, again, they're eating significantly more calories than they think. They might be eating 1,000 calories a day or 1,200 calories a day during the week, which is far too low, but then on the weekends they're eating 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 calories by drinking their calories, going out and having dinner with friends. But they don't realize that total caloric amount is what matters throughout the week, not the individual date. So if we can have them track their food every day, but tell them we're adding 50 calories, we're increasing your metabolism, we're slowly doing it. Technically, we are at a weight loss amount, but we are slowly increasing their calories. And so they think, it's a kind of a mental game. They think, okay, well, I'm going to lose weight while increasing my calories is fantastic. No, you're finally going to actually track all of your calories. You have to track it all. And remember, when we don't track, you're going to be about 40% less than what you think. So if you know the psychological game that happens behind this, it's not going to work. But in essence, as a coach, this can be something that I've had a lot of success with, is I'm going to have my clients say, okay, you said you're eating 1,200 calories. That's great. What I want you, and I know they're not, because they aren't in a body that is eating 1,200 calories with their NEAT and their TDEE. There's no way. There's no way. But that's okay. They're lying to themselves, but that's okay. They think they're telling the truth. So what I say is, okay, you're going to track your calories, and what I want you to do is you're going to weigh everything. We're going to do this over the course of a couple months, but we're going to increase your calories so that forever you can eat more. And I'm going to have you eat 1,250, and you're going to eat 1,250 this week. Then we're going to bump you up to 1,300. We're going to weigh you. We're going to see how you're doing. And it includes the weekend, so you can, like, you have to eat it. So if you don't want to do the weekends, we can move things around. Maybe we'll get you at 1,200 during the week, so you can have a free meal on the weekends. But we're not going to be going crazy with the alcohol. Remember, we are fixing your metabolism right now, and so we've got to basically eat the foods like we would while we're on a diet, tracking it and doing this to increase your metabolism. What's that doing? It's actually putting them in a deficit finally, while teaching them how to diet without them realizing it. And then the next week we're going to add 50 calories, so now we're at 1,300. They're still in a deficit. Let's say their TDEE should be at 1,650. They're still in a deficit. We're slowly increasing them to what they should be. They're in a deficit, but they're also learning how many calories are in everything. And it can take the stress off the body of them thinking they're in a diet, when in reality, they're in a diet, but they think they're in a reverse diet. They think they're adding more calories. And sometimes that psychological effect can be beneficial for someone. The same can be true for someone that's like, let's say, okay, my body is in maintenance calories and I'm going to reverse diet. And what they're actually doing is they're actually putting on muscle. So when people say, oh, well, the reverse diet worked. I used to eat 2,000 calories, now I eat 2,400 calories. You gained muscle and you increased your NEAT, or you increased your metabolic rate. But let's say you didn't, you gained muscle. You increased your metabolic rate. Why that happened. And you were able to do it because you were eating enough calories to put on muscle. But it's not because you fixed your metabolism suddenly, you just gained muscle. But that's okay. Like, it's okay why this works. I mean, the trade-off, I think the ultimate answer for this is the trade-off. There isn't a single study that says like reverse dieting works, but there are some psychological reasons that it could work for some people. So should you do it? It depends. As a coach, is it beneficial for your clients? It depends. Can your clients come out of the caloric deficit that they had, or can you as an individual, if you're learning this by yourself, can you come out and did you figure out how to eat on your new body? If not, maybe doing a reverse will teach you how to hit that maintenance. Maybe you need to hit that reverse to teach your body, how to eat in this new body while maintaining it. So it's not that one is better than the other. Do you technically need to reverse diet? No, but I'm a huge fan of it because it's going to teach you how to eat in your new body. It's going to slowly allow you to, if you've been too lean, get out of that body, which can be very psychologically damaging to just jump straight out of the body. It's going to allow you to, you don't know the psychological reasons behind it, kind of have this, oh my gosh, I'm fixing my metabolism. You're still working towards a goal, especially goal-oriented people, and it will help teach you how to maintain. The longer you track your calories, the longer you're aware of your calories, eventually you won't have to, but it does allow you to know how much you're eating. And I don't care if you're a carnivore, pescatarian, vegetarian, keto, low carb, high fat, low carb, whatever you are, it basically boils down to calories in, calories out. And then the amount you can eat is going to be based on the thermogenics of your food. If you have a high fat, low protein diet, you're going to be able to eat less. If you have a high protein, high carb, medium carb, low fat diet, you're going to be able to eat more. I mean, it's just the thermogenics of the food. So, but at the end of the day, it's still calories in, calories out, the amount of food you are eating. So I like to say the answer, as always, with fitness is it depends. And I think take all of this knowledge and apply it to what works best for you or your clients. And there isn't one right answer, but there are definitely benefits to reverse dieting. And some people mentally can't handle that. Some people just need to go back to maintenance. They were stressed out too much by doing that. And it might take some playing with what maintenance is. That might mean we think maintenance is 1,600. Oh, nope, it's 1,625. Oh, it's 1,550. It's 1,700. It might take a couple of weeks to figure out what maintenance is. As long as you're kind of willing to jump up and you're willing to see the calories go up, and I think jumping straight into maintenance, if you are not an extremely lean individual, is really great. Again, unless you have experienced a lot of on again, off again diets as a female and kind of need some sort of psychological way to diet. And that's really going to be for someone that hasn't hit their ideal body type. I think if you've hit your ideal body type, you're at that, 20% or so for a female, 20 to 25% body fat percentage, 15 or so for a guy. There's no reason to have to reverse diet. You'll be fine. You don't need to lose any more. You're perfectly healthy. So just go into maintenance what you think it is and then adjust from there. But psychologically, that's not something that you can do, then reverse dieting can be great. I'm Barbells at Bedtime. I hope you learned something. Have a great day. Remember to work out today, even if it's just for a little bit. Mwah!